I didn't change much today because it's been really busy, super busy. Um, 1,917 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room because he feared for his life before then. He feared for his life before then, rightfully so, because he was a whistleblower and the Sinaloa cartel, the El Chapo faction of the Sinaloa cartel, in partnership with the Mormon faction, had infiltrated on Fort Bliss in a very, very bad way with their criminal activity. Richard became a whistleblower and reported on that, and it was connected to some very bad actors, very high places, like General John Kelly, retired. He's retired, and he was Southcom, y'all. He was Southcom. Gosh. So, I mean, every time I say it, and I've said it for years, the shock doesn't go away because behind the scenes we know what a treasonous man he is. What a treasonous man. So we are on day 1,917 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room and taken to the arms room. You saw the little seal on it. You saw the little seal, the number of the seal, and you know that they hid that from us. They hid all this information from us, and they took him in there, and they took his life. They took his life, and then they stole his body. They stole his body and dismembered his body and trafficked his body to Mexico. And so, what I'm about to tell you is, corroborating all of that. So let's make sure that I'm on. Looks like I'm on. Looks like. Is it not on? Looks like I'm on. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay. I see me now. Sometimes there's just a little kink and I just have to give it some time. So, okay, I can see comments now also. So first off, the news about this arrest of Mario Ortiz Saradoli. Let's see if I can put that up on there. There you go. There he is. There's the post. Okay, so and you can't really see it because up above it says smoke screen. You can see this smoke screen here. See if I can. Oh, it won't be really big. Oh, there's that too. Okay. There's Omar Carmona. Okay, so I'll just talk about this smoke screen. That really leads to that, right? It leads to the Omar Carmona discussion. Um, you know, this arrest, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that what Mario has done in his law firm, his law office, is absolutely atrocious. He's, uh, you know, accused of solicitation of prostitution. But it's behind the scenes, it is huge. It is so big. And who he's connected to with other lawyers, including Montoya, including James Bonneau Montoya and Of of course, Jaime Esparza, um, and this whole history together. It is just jaw dropping. And what I really, the main point, is that this is like this sex cult, right? I've told you, from the beginning, in Richard's case, there's these common denominators, like this Mormon faction common denominator, and like this, of course, child trafficking. Uh, Trafficking everything, any criminal trafficking, right? But child trafficking, and the more specifically for this case, and human trafficking more specifically for this case, and exploitation of who they're trafficking, these illegals that they put in very bad situations, and then they just say, well, I like my little sex cult. You can pay me in that way. You can pay me in that way. It's really, this is like throughout this whole 5 years, over 5 years now, it always seems to engage in just the worst type of crimes against children, and the abuse of power, wearing a uniform, or having this law degree or whatever, a huge abuse of power. But it really, it really, uh, President Trump has been right all along. That uh, open border has to be shut and secured. I think secured is the best way, because we want to come and go, but it has to be secured. It has to be checked. People have to be doing their business and not be compromised, doing their job, and not being compromised. And the open border, all of these people coming in, and the Democrats wanting all of these people to come in and stay in when they came in illegally. Okay, illegally. They don't have the right paperwork, or they have fabricated paperwork, or, you know, um, this this puts them in a very, very bad situation. Look at these young women. Look at these young women. They were put in a very bad situation, and he exploited them for it. He exploited them sexually for it. And it went on for a year. Yeah, a year. I mean, more than a year, but this investigation went on for a year. I mean, come on. They're going to allow all of these women to be exploited for a year. And then when the when the evidence is so strong, and they finally have to do something about it, and the feds absolutely pressure James Bonneau Montoya, he's illegitimate. So this is a big, big problem for this whole case, right? Not only is the mag court illegitimate, because the judges are imposters, and these people that were arrested went through the mag court. And the mag court there's a constitutional crisis there. Okay? There's a constitutional crisis. Talk about a smoke, right? Talk about a cloud. There is a dark storm cloud, constitutional crisis over the El Paso Magistrate Court, the criminal law magistrate court. And every case in there has this dark cloud on it right now of illegitimacy, because the voters have been disenfranchised from voting for the judges. And those judges have to be voted for according to the Texas Constitution. Um, because that court is a very powerful court. It has full countywide jurisdiction. Any court that has full countywide jurisdiction, the judges must be elected by the people for oversight. Right now, they have no oversight. Well, they're illegal. They have nothing. Where do you go if you want to complain about these judges, right? About, you know, what how did they handle this case anyway of Mario Ortiz uh Sarlodi, right? I hope I pronounced his name right. But you know what, how did they handle it? Because anything they say is has no authority. It's like, who are you to say it? You have no authority, because there's this big cloud of constitutional crisis over that court. And the same thing goes for um, James Bonneau Montoya. He's illegitimate. So you know, where's the protection for these women? Well, the one place that could protect them would be the media. And yet we see very, very clearly here that the media isn't even doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, my goodness, what he gets at the beginning of the month, the 8th of October, he gets arrested, and they don't report on it until 3 weeks later, until October 29th. Are you kidding me? That's you know, a huge smokescreen. It's a smokescreen. It is 3 weeks for him and other attorneys to conspire together to do damage control, whether that be get rid of evidence or whatever. Because the thing is Mario Ortiz Saroldi is not the only one. He's not the only one. And this is not a lone wolf, and he's not the only one. These millions of people that came through the border illegally have been exploited. And if they died, then they've really been exploited, right? Because you have the whole funeral, which we've uncovered and explained to everybody. You have the whole funeral operation, cartel funeral operation, the mortuary operation that is absolutely exploiting these people coming over that are illegal, and the American people, by saying, "Oh, we need humanitarian aid," and then they have these. If any of them die, then they become an unidentified migrant, and then they get the aid money, and then they fill their body with fluid and keep it so that they can recycle it, you know, recycle. How many times can you recycle an unidentified migrant body? Especially when you have a crooked, very crooked, and illegal medical examiner and a very crooked leaker county clerk, Delia Briones. And then you have a crooked county judge. So you have Mario Raskin Ortiz, you have the Delia Briones, and you have Ricardo Samaniago, and they're you know, absolutely allowing this recycling of corpses. So these people that this left side wants to come over, it's not because they care about those people. It's not because they want them to have a nice life in the United States. It's not because they want them to be dreamers, right? To have the American dream. That's all a facade. That all those talking points. They don't care. They are interested in exploiting them. Exploiting them. And to a very demonic, satanic end too, with God forbid if any of these women are pregnant, because they're going to be targeted with these illegal C-sections to rip their baby out of their body, and then their organs taken from them, and have organ harvesting and sell it on the black market. And is these organ harvesting going, overseas? And what about these babies if they survive these illegal C-sections, which, harms them terribly? Uh, I've, of course, Alex Jones on InfoWars has told us that even they get their organs harvested, or they get the targeted um, market were homosexual couples. What, 15,000, 18,000 for a newborn baby? I mean, really? Newborn babies, and I know a lot about adoption uh, because Richard is adopted with his brother. And I'm telling you that, this whole thing is so disgusting, because you have to go through so much paperwork and so many interviews, lawyers, the children too. All of it has to be checked and double checked over and over again for the vetting. I mean, we had to write out almost a book about our life in order to adopt the children. So, and babies, I know how much it cost us in 2004 for, you're talking about the adoption agency, you're talking about the lawyers, you're talking about, all of the government paperwork fees, you're talking about all of the traveling fees and everything like that. To have these young um, migrants come up, uh, get promised to come in illegally. You don't want to come in illegally. You don't want illegals in the country, because they are targets. They are targets for this terrible group. I mean, Veronica Escobar, her husband was an immigration judge. I hope that President Trump took him off that position, relieved him, because his job was to protect these people. So she has no excuse, right? She has no excuse. And she wants them to come in illegally. That tells you what she is. She's a demon. She's an ally of the she devil. Anybody that wants these people to come in illegally is misinformed, but or or allies of the she devil. And Veronica Escobar is not misinformed. She has access to all kinds of intelligence. And her husband, and her husband being right there in on it. You don't want people to be in the country illegally. They're targets. And we're talking about targets for the worst type of things, for predators like Mario Ortiz Saroldi, part of this sex cult thing, or sickos that train 16-year-olds to do illegal C-sections to rip the baby from your body, your heart from your body, uh, your kidneys, your liver. And I know a little bit about this body harvesting. They will take your corneas. They will take the skin off your back. They will take, they'll take it. And, I could go on and on. And I mean, these people have no regard for the human body. No, this is sacrilegious. Absolutely sacrilegious. And, God is no buttercup. And for the media to put up a 3-week smokescreen, for them to get their act together, for them to do damage control, for them to pick, okay, Omar Carmona, you can be my lawyer now. You can be my lawyer now. And that's public lawyer, or that's taxpayer funded lawyer. Why the hell does he have a taxpayer funded lawyer? I mean, I'm very happy that he was arrested, with his connection to James Bonneau Montoya. James Bonneau Montoya could have easily cleaned the slate, right? Or, let him go, let him go. So that tells you something. That tells you that there is some Fed pressure in the background. And I think it's a real possibility that James Montoya can be arrested soon. And he needs to be, y'all. I don't ha- I don't have a mean bone in my body. I really don't. It's called justice. It's called justice. And justice, who is going to protect um, these vulnerable people? And then they get into this terrible situation that they get put into the sex trade. This is the other part of this story. They get put into the sex trade, or they get put into the cartel trade. Be and then it's so horrible that, of course, the substances look, like a good idea, and then they get hooked on these. Take your pick. Bolin Rocha could tell you all about them. She just rattled them off to me. I didn't know anything about them. She just rattled them off. And I'm like, what is this young girl doing knowing all about these substances? Like she's like some kind of Vanna White, or, uh, uh, you know, used car salesman or something like that. I mean, she knew everything. What is this young girl doing knowing all this? She did, and we know why she did. And she was part of this whole thing, too. And that's bad enough. I lost a lot of tears over her. And you can say, why she, I had people telling me how rotten she is. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just, that was grooming. That was grooming. You groom one way or you groom the other, right? You raise them up in the admonition of the Lord in the way they should go, so that when they get older, they shall not depart from it. Or you groom them in this sex cult, drug cult, you name it. You exploit them. You absolutely exploit them. And this whole case is about uh, young people being exploited, migrants being exploited. And yeah, then they get angry because they've been so betrayed by their own parents, betrayed by lawyers, betrayed by law enforcement. I mean, you've got the director of DPS as part of this. I mean, it's the hypocrisy is just like overwhelmingly because, he's filling up his girlfriend in the middle of a parking lot, and his girlfriend's a compromised a real estate agent with a fleet of cars, uh, way over $1 million, half of them with disability veteran, yeah, disabled veterans license plate. Oh yeah, and Brooks Pecan. Okay, so you got Patrick Brookshire, who's attacking us, a trooper. He has a lot of energy. He has a DV license plate too. I wonder, that means he had to go see James Hart. And NCOs are buddies. They have a little buddy system, and it helps if Lilani Hart was getting her mail at Dreams Cabaret, which is owned by Patrick Brookshire's uh, Mahia Fong connection through his wife. You don't think that the Harts and the Brookshires know each other? I think they do. Very much so. At least to get the DV license plate. There's a lot of quid pro quos going on here. Very detrimental to our system. I mean, $38 trillion in debt. They have no care for the future of their this is what I'm saying. They have no care for the future of their children, for the future of the country. Just exploit, exploit, exploit. And then if you catch them, they get angry. They're playing with fire, they get burned, and it's like, why did I get burned? They get angry. And then they hit back, it's like, really? Um, they'll hit back to even somebody that they hurt because they absolutely hurt Richard. Because he absolutely was not about to let children get exploited, and they were getting exploited. And they were getting exploited by demon generals, even Marine generals that you're supposed to look up to. I mean, our family has a deep connection with the Marines because um, Richard's, let me make sure I get this right, great grandfather worked for Felix de Weldon. Who was Felix de Weldon on Beacon Rock? He's the one that made the Iwo Jima Memorial, Marine Memorial. He was the sculptor. Rob used to play through those molds when he was a child. Look up Beacon Rock in Rhode Island. To see a Marine general tarnish the history of the Marines is so just I just can't even tell you how disheartening that is, um and in what way to exploit unaccompanied children. 500,000, y'all. 500,000 children were trafficked through Fort Bliss, exploiting the resources, the infrastructure of Fort Bliss in order to traffic 500,000 children. Marine General John Francis Kelly was Southcom for a lot of years. Look that up, what that means. Every soldier on that border, all the way down to the Panama Canal. He his his experience, his security clearance, his knowledge of that area, very few people have. And he betrayed our country and worked as a foreign agent for the narco government of Chihuahua, Mexico. And sat on the board, still probably is, Caliburn International, to profit off of the exploitation of 500,000 children crossing that border. Can you imagine? You have these women that are exploited sexually, put into prostitution by a lawyer that gets arrested. You have a general that exploits 500,000 children. Where are they? They went through Fort Bliss. And it was so bad, y'all. It was so bad. I cannot tell you how many witnesses expressed that. And when we got there, they were shaking. They were shaking, literally shaking. They, there was, all goodness had been stripped from Fort Bliss. And that's why we've gotten so, uh, the esprit de corps was just so tarnished. Um, any kind of respect for a missing soldier was just non-existent because they were just shaking, so shaking. I called the command sergeant major Shaky Jake. I still call him Shaky Jake. He was shaking so hard. It was so bad. Because when you have 500,000 children being exploited, and General Kelly knew. And he profited from it. And he aided and abetted the El Chapo faction of the Sinaloa cartel by working as a security advisor for the government of Chihuahua. In that position, he tampered and sabotaged the investigation of our son, Richard Halliday, in Mexico at the Attorney General's office there in Juarez, Mexico. So Juarez is the city, Chihuahua is the state. But he worked to sabotage and tamper with, interfere with the investigation into our son in Mexico. We went there on the 2nd of October, 2020, and filed a missing persons report, giving a picture, everything. 3 days later, we went there again to provide DNA blood sampling for Richard. We went there to the AG's office. And in front of our own face, it was tampered with. And after it was tampered with, and our Interpol was tampered with, the notification, it's a yellow notice for Richard's profile. The picture was tampered with. They went so far as to search our home with some kind of mysterious warrant that we still have not gotten a copy of. That's JAG. General Kelly pulled those strings. There's others involved too. But General Kelly is General Kelly. He is the one that went and worked for the government as a security advisor for a foreign country with his U.S. top secret clearance and all of his years' experience as a Southcom commander. That's a lot of connections, y'all. It's a lot of experience and information, and that kind of betrayal is just textbook treason. Textbook treason. And to interfere in our son's case. Now think about that. Why would he be in, he's, sitting on the board for Caliburn. He's making money as a security advisor. He's working with Cesar Paneche, whose energy company is, tapping into the oil, stealing the oil, right? Stealing the oil. They're working together. And you have all of the migrant exploitation. You have the child um, exploitation. Uh, you have the drugs. You have um, anything that wasn't bolted down being trafficked. Why would a general with that kind of position care about Richard Halliday? And why would he put so much effort and risk into interfering, sabotage, tampering, whatever you want to call it? He messed with Richard's investigation so that we would not move forward, not to help, but to sabotage, to hurt. Why? Well, that tells you a few things. It tells you that what Richard was whistleblowing on, what his reports were very, very important and huge crimes. It also tells you that that we're right. Richard's remains, his bodies were trafficked to Mexico. Because why would he have to worry about our missing persons report at the Mexican Attorney General's office there in Juarez, Chihuahua, if Richard never stepped foot in Mexico? Never that his body was not in Mexico. Why would he have to mess with the DNA? Why would he have to sabotage witnesses? Why would he prevent us being notified when there were very important changes? It's because Richard's remains were trafficked to Mexico. He's a textbook traitor, and he needs to pay the full price for what he did. The full price. He betrayed the Marines, the history of the Marines, of course, our country, the Mexican country, all of the Mexican people that suffered through all of that. Think about what all of that cartel activity has done. Just in this year alone. I mean, it was months ago, and I heard it was 800 executions in Juarez. That's, General Kelly as Southcom was supposed to turn the spigot off for these cartel. As the head of Homeland Security, he was supposed to turn off the spigot for the cartel. Just turn it off. And save so many lives. But no, he absolutely worked with them aided and abetted. So there's more to it that we know. But just, and of course, he's he's John Kelly, right? How am I going to come on a live stream and say what I'm saying without having more and not being right in what I'm saying? Because it's heartbreaking, it's really heartbreaking. And that's why we've got to nip this in the we have got to have accountability. Because it is worse than any like sickness, any sickness. It is so contagious, this evil. And look at these women now that were forced into having relations with this nasty Mario. And then and then the media goes, "Oh, he's the best lawyer in El Paso. He's the best lawyer in El Paso for 3 weeks," when they absolutely knew that he was soliciting prostitution, taking advantage of these migrant women, having even a media site. It just gets so bad, and then the media gives them time, swooning over him as like, best in El Paso. This is the best in El Paso. Are you kidding me? No, that there are the best in El Paso, but it's not Mario. And that they knew that, and that was absolutely a smoke job just to allow him to regroup, allow others to prepare 3 weeks before they finally reported on it. And you have DPS director Jose Sanchez in the parking lot being compromised himself, and a trooper targeting a Gold Star family. But you just don't target a Gold Star family. You have history there, right? You have something to lose. You're not going to target a Gold Star family unless you have something to lose. So there's a lot of history there. Um, we didn't know him. So I should be grateful that that all came to our attention. So God has his perfect timing and is revealing everything. And that is not just that's not just a narrative, right? That is absolutely the truth. And it really is all coming out, and because you're sharing. He was arrested. Well, I should say that James Bonneau Montoya absolutely had no choice, even though he has a whole little uh, box full of ways he can, tools that he can make this go away. But he had no choice because of you, because of the sharing, because of your reporting, because of your filing. Um, Absolutely pressure that left him no way, no lean to the right, lean to the left, uh, under the table, over the table, no way. He had nowhere to go but to have this Mario arrested. And they know each other. They know each other. So the best I think he could give him was, okay, well, I'll give you 3 weeks to regroup and sanitize a few things. I mean, think about how much you can do in 3 weeks. Yeah. Thank you, Laura, for coming on. Thank you, Anicia, for coming on. Thank you for your love and your prayers. Laura, hopefully this is the start of a cleanup in El Paso. It is. It is a huge start. And I can tell you this because of the first letter that we got from President Trump. We received 2 letters. And the first one was all about the accountability and the cleanup. And the second was all about Richard. So we are literally living like the narco state of Chihuahua, retaliation and murder to people that get in their way, and very satanic. Yeah, it's um, we're also looking into some construction companies because there is some quid pro quo, and that quid pro quo gives certain people nice places to live, and then others can't even find a place to live. So it's a lot of tampering with the construction, housing, and you're going to be shocked. I don't think you are going to be shocked anymore who's all involved in it. So this everything is being exposed in this because this is part of this whole money laundering and quid pro quo and all the trafficking they're doing, and the contracts and that. So it's all coming out, and there needs to be some arrests. There needs to be a lot of arrests, and John Kelly needs to be arrested. And there's many more, many more. So thank you so much. God bless you, and I will be back tomorrow.